Joel Embiid and Marcus Smart love to irritate their opponents. They differ in stature and use different tactics, but both annoying to their competition nonetheless. Pitting two menaces with completely different personalities on rival teams is a great recipe for beef, but the key ingredients have been heating up way before the NBA. Part of Joel Embiid's identity as being a troll is something he's fully embraced. Before the social media jabs directed at fellow NBA players, Embiid had to get his reps in, and his first victim, so to speak, was Marcus Smart. His first ever Instagram post in 2014 was a posterizing dunk over Smart in college with this thoughtful caption. You know, cause his last name is Smart and it was an ill-advised decision to jump alongside a 7-footer. You get it. But the diss at Smart didn't even necessarily start there. Before that IG post, Embiid sent out a tweet detailing how Aaron Rodgers stopped by to watch him practice and taught him how to do backflips. While that may seem like a slight flex of hanging with an NFL MVP and learning difficult aerial moves, it's actually a direct snub at Smart. Let me explain. Dating back to his college days at Oklahoma State, Marcus Smart has always played with an intensity that few can rival. Whether it's diving for loose balls, playing suffocating defense, or slightly exaggerating fouls, Smart knows how to get under his opponent's skin. He plays with his heart on his sleeve, with a ferocity molded from personal tragedies. As a child, Marcus lost his older brother to cancer. He came close to experiencing the death of another brother from drug abuse. As a 12-year-old, he faced near death himself when a gang member came within 15 yards, firing 4 gunshots directed at him. In 2018, he once again saw cancer take another family member's life when his mother passed away from a rare form of bone marrow cancer. Playing with that type of emotion fuels his energy on the court, saying that despite all the chaos surrounding him, he views basketball as the eye of the storm. Knowing that he has to give it his all on the court because any day could potentially be his last. But playing with that type of passion has also helped him make some enemies along the way. During his freshman year in 2013, Oklahoma State went on the road to play Kansas, the number 2 team in the nation and their conference rival. It was a tough-fought game, but behind Smart's dazzling performance, Oklahoma State pulled off the rare upset at Allen Fieldhouse. It was a huge win, and to celebrate, Smart emphatically hit a backflip at midcourt all over the Jayhawk logo. Kansas players weren't pleased, but other than the Big 12 tournament or potentially facing off in March, that could have been the last time they saw Smart. He was a standout freshman and was projected to be a top 5 pick had he entered the 2013 draft. But Smart decided to run it back, which meant Kansas had a shot at payback for his gymnastics. And luckily for Jayhawk fans, the incoming freshman class was stacked with firepower. They had 3 top 25 recruits, including the number 1 overall player, Andrew Wiggins. Experts view Wiggins as the next generational basketball player, being dubbed as the greatest prospect since LeBron James. Alongside Wiggins was Joel Embiid, one of the top 25 recruits as well, but considered more of a raw prospect. Like Smart, Embiid also faced a potential life or death situation as a child. Growing up in Cameroon, a 6-year-old Embiid came face to face with a lion, which he killed with a spear as a rite of passage. Except the story is full of shit. It's a trollish tale that he's told numerous times to build up somewhat of a mystique about himself. But lion or not, his path to the University of Kansas was still unique. He didn't pick up a basketball till the age of 15, and the first ever practice he attended, he immediately yammed on someone. Embiid's scrawny 7-foot frame caught the attention of fellow Cameroonian and NBA player Luc Baamute, who helped him enroll at a high school in the States. Word quickly spread of his potential, and the next thing you know, he landed a scholarship at Kansas. With the hype surrounding Wiggins, Embiid flew somewhat under the radar at the top of the season. Then, after a perfect shooting performance in his 3rd game, that raw potential looked extremely achievable. Still, when it came time for the Oklahoma State and Kansas rematch at Allen Fieldhouse in 2014, all the attention was focused on the Smart and Wiggins showdown. Besides the flip that lived rent-free in the heads of Kansas fans, Smart also gave the Jayhawk squad some extra motivation by saying Wiggins was all hype until he proved it on the floor. So with the attention pointed elsewhere, Embiid was free to fire off taunts. And once the game tipped off, neither Smart nor Wiggins lived up to the hype, but Embiid had a breakout performance, helping lead his team to a narrow victory. It wasn't long before Smart got his revenge though. He had no words for Embiid, and opted to let his game do the talking when the rival schools met again the same year. Smart played bigger than his height, constantly attacking Embiid at the rim as he carried his team to a win. Offensively, it's a pivotal part of Smart's game to go right at the body of the shot blocker, a skill that he says makes the big man a little shorter in size. That was the last time the two would face off in college. Embiid continued to ball, constantly climbing the ranks of potential draft boards, but a season-ending back injury sidelined him from both the conference and NCAA tourney. Smart had another productive season, but his performance was eclipsed by a February 2014 incident that involved him shoving a fan who allegedly shouted a racial slur at him. NBA executives had mixed reactions on how it would affect his potential draft stock, citing that Smart had an opportunity to clear the air in the interview process. Nonetheless, Embiid and Smart were two of the more prominent players declaring for the 2014 draft. Already dealing with back problems, Embiid suffered a right foot injury and underwent surgery a week before the draft, ruling him out for months. Despite that, the Philadelphia 76ers drafted Embiid 3rd overall. Smart wasn't too far behind him, getting selected by the Boston Celtics. The two were locked into rival teams again, but on a much grander scale. And fun fact, this beef was destined to be a part of the rivalry no matter the circumstances. Since Embiid was expected to sit for a while, the 76ers toyed with the idea of drafting a player who could make an immediate impact. The player they wanted was Marcus Smart. If Embiid had fallen in the draft, Celtics GM Danny Ainge wasn't concerned about the injuries and had his eye on Embiid, going as far as discussing potential trade talks to snag his guy. But for a few years, missing out on Embiid looked to be the right play for the Celtics. Embiid was expected to be the savior of a terrible Philly franchise, but it's hard to do that when you can't play. He sat 2 whole seasons because of injury setbacks, and for a moment looked as if he wasn't even serious about playing basketball. Embiid filmed himself dancing at a Meek Mill concert a day before his knee injury was revealed. He also had a fixation with the sugary drink Shirley Temples, which wasn't really part of the Sixers' dietary plan. Not to say there's anything really damning about those things, but maybe it's not the best look to be turning up at concerts while injured and disregarding your team's diet strategy. In the face of all the criticism, Embiid knew there was nothing he can do on the court, so he took his game to Twitter, becoming a social media star, capturing the attention of NBA fans. Smart suffered some minor injuries throughout his first 2 seasons, but when he was on the floor, he hounded opponents, making his impact felt in Boston's rotation, and even made the all-rookie team during the 2014-15 season. With his stocky build and lateral quickness, Smart smothered opposing ball handlers. His defense alone was reason to watch the Celtics compete, as he quickly became one of the league's best on-ball defenders, able to guard positions 1 through 5. As for Embiid, when he was healthy and fully ready to go in the 2017-18 season, he was somehow even better than advertised. Embiid's talent was worth the wait for the Sixers, putting all the doubts to bed as he blossomed into an all-star starter. He led Philly to their first playoff appearance in 6 seasons, advancing to the 2018 Eastern Conference semifinals to face the Celtics. It was the first time the two former college rivals, now playing for NBA rivals, got to battle at a high level, making it an ideal setting to reheat their beef. In the first half of Game 1, Embiid stepped on Smart's right thumb, the same thumb that Smart previously had surgically repaired, forcing him to miss games right before the series. Smart hopped up looking uncomfortable, but when asked about it post-game, he shrugged it off, saying it was a slight stinger but he's totally fine and ready to continue the series. What Smart wasn't very fond of was a flying leg kick from Embiid right before halftime. With the clock winding down in the second quarter, Embiid chucked up a 3, kicking his leg out, which landed straight to the groin of Smart. Maybe there was no malicious intent, but it's rare to see a shooter kick their leg out that far. Sure, Smart might have exaggerated a little, but there was no foul called, even though the NBA made it a point to punish shooters who kicked their leg out, which Smart wasn't very happy about after the game.
And then you got kicked at the end of the first half, on top of that.
Next subject. That's all I'm gonna say.
Do you think that was a foul on him?
Listen, they've been calling that foul all year. You know, they told me, he stuck his leg, he faded away, so his leg naturally comes up. But like I said, it's been called all year, but it's part of the game. You move on.
The Celtics won that game and the series thanks in part to Smart's key performance. His defense was extremely effective, helping teammates handle Embiid down low, and he was productive offensively in moments slashing to the rim, attacking Embiid at the basket. Both Smart and Embiid continued to level up their play the next season, but despite Embiid having a career year, his Sixers couldn't get past the C's. Philadelphia went 1-3 against Boston during the 2018-19 season, with the lone win being powered by a remarkable performance by Embiid, which might have been influenced by Smart. Down 11 points in their final matchup of the season, Embiid caught Smart with an elbow, sending him to the ground. The refs missed that call, but what they didn't miss was Smart's retaliation as he hopped up and shoved Embiid. They had to be held back to avoid further confrontation, but that moment was the exact spark Embiid and the 76ers needed to finally get a win over the Celtics. Smart was tossed from the game, and of course, taunted the Sixers crowd. Embiid said he fed off their energy as he finished the game with an exceptional performance. Embiid, who's typically ready to pop off in those instances, was more reserved in the post-game presser, saying he really doesn't care about Smart at all when asked about the situation.
Obviously, I was frustrated because it was a cheap shot. I didn't see it coming, caught me off guard. I don't really want to talk about him, so I don't care.
Smart was fined $50,000, but stuck true to himself, saying he wouldn't change anything about what went down. And if the refs won't protect him, he'll just have to clean up things himself. Regardless of how each team performed, whenever Smart and Embiid shared the court, they gave it their all against each other. So when they met up in the postseason for the second time in 3 years for the 2020 playoffs, it was either go hard or go home. Well, or go back to the Disney resort, rather. No matter the unusual circumstances of the bubble, both players showed up for their squads. Embiid had to carry the load for Philly's depleted roster due to injuries, putting up absurd numbers in the process, but he couldn't do it alone as the Sixers got swept. Smart was the anchor defensively, and specifically that season stepped into a much more prominent role guarding bigs more often. He was tasked with helping keep Embiid under control, and offensively, he continued to go right at Embiid, challenging him at the rim. It's like Marcus Smart doesn't know his own size. He's a small guy who finds himself constantly guarding bigs. He's not afraid to throw shade at big men for doing smaller guy things, like flopping, which is exactly something Smart had no issue with in his critique of Embiid's game. In a January 2021 game, Embiid added another stellar performance to his resume with a 42-point, 10-rebound double-double in a win over the Celtics. But if you ask Smart, that stat line was a little inflated. The Sixers took 45 free throws, 21 of them coming from Embiid alone. Smart said it's easy to get to the free throw line often when you just flail every time you get touched. And if the roles were reversed, having Embiid's size, he'd be doing the same thing too. Which Embiid immediately shot back at, saying that's like the pot calling the kettle black. And if he actually watched basketball, he would know that it's a foul every time he's hacked. Which, to be fair, Embiid does have a valid point, seeing how Smart has literally been fined for the exact thing he accused Embiid of doing. It also doesn't help Smart's case when he absolutely flailed after taking this elbow from Embiid in the very next game of a back-to-back. I can only imagine their conversation at midcourt had to be about Smart's flawless acting performance and how the refs missed another call. One thing that's clear in this beef is that Embiid and Smart have always stayed truly authentic to themselves. Whether it's being a troll or playing with a head full of steam at all times, despite how one person stands nearly a foot taller than the other, whenever these two meet, they don't back down. And yeah, this beef is far from over, but we've seen this same story unfold going back to their college years. It just so happens that they play for rival teams again. So as the 76ers and Celtics continue to uphold their hate, don't be surprised to see Embiid and Smart right there in the middle, because it's just who they are. Don't you just love beef? If you want to check out another modern day NBA beef, check out this video. Or if you just like seeing two people bicker at each other, we got plenty more of that. Don't forget to like the video, smash that subscribe button, and all that other good jazz, cause we got plenty of more heat coming for you.